Welcome again to this webinar. We are going to be looking at the 5-number summary, and this seminar will be the end of the first course of our current bootcamp. It is going to be the topic that we are going to be looking at as the last topic of this course for the first course. And then by next week, God's willing, we are going to be looking into analyzing data with spreadsheets. We are going to be starting with Microsoft Excel, and we see how things unfold. So today, let's look at 5-number summary. So in the last seminar, we spoke about the quartiles, the percentiles, and so on. So today, we look at how we can put all of this together to really make a very good decision and so on. So there is something as the 5-number summary, and it is a popular concept in statistics. So we are going to be looking at what it is. We look at its importance, and we are going to see how we can visualize it and use it to make a decision at a jiffy. Now, 5-number summary is used to represent 5 key metrics in statistics, and that is why we use the word 5. But the word summary is so that we can know that those 5 numbers are for a form of summarizing our data set in a particular area or using some specific metrics. So what we use to represent 5-number summary is a box plot. So how does a box plot look like? Let's see. So this is a box plot that we use to represent the 5-number summary. So you can see we have the minimum, we have the maximum. So this is like a horizontal box plot. We can have a vertical box plot, and we are going to be seeing that as we continue in this session. So we have the maximum value, we have the minimum value. So those are the 2 components of the 5-number summary. Then we have the lower quartile, that is the first quartile, and I believe that we know what that means now based on what we discussed in our last session. Then we have the Q2, that is our second quartile. And you can remember that I said it there, that the second quartile is also known as the median. Now, the third component here is the upper quartile, which is the third quartile. So in summary, the minimum value, the maximum value, the Q1, Q2, and Q3, these 5 metrics is what makes up our 5-number summary. But we use a box plot to give us a visual representation of how all of these moves together. So this particular line here is what is called the whisker. And when you look at the box plot, this box here, this box, like the body of the box, is what represents the interquartile range. This is what tells us how the first quartile is far from the third quartile, and it represents the middle half of our data. So let's see how this can be useful. What are the importance of 5-number summary for data distribution? So we can use 5-number summary to check for the distribution of our data. Now, Let us look at this particular scenario here, and you will see the beauty of this concept. So if you look at this is the time slept a day in terms of hours. So this is like a data that was collected for probably some months and some years. And we try to look at the number of hours that people sleep based on a particular day of the week. And we use the box plot to have an idea of how does it go. So let's start from Monday. You can see that the minimum time, the minimum hours people sleep on Mondays was 4 based on that data set. And the maximum was 9 hours. And you can see that the median, you understand now, the median was 8 hours. And you can see that majority of people on Monday, like the half of people in this data set actually have a sleeping time between 6 hours and 8 hours. And the median was around 7 hours. So from this, you can see on Tuesday. But if you look carefully, you can see this one point here. This one point is 10 hours. So there was a particular instance when somebody slept for 10 hours. But that particular point is very far from the distribution. So from here, you can see that, oh, somebody slept for 10 hours, but that 10 hours is an outlier because majority of people on Tuesday actually slept from hours between 6 hours and 7 hours. So 10 was an outlier. So, and that is one of the greatest importance of box plot. It shows all the maximum value, the minimum value, but it is smart enough to let us know that some values can be an outlier. Normally, this value here should be the maximum value, but the box plot was able to see that this value is so separate from other value and treat it out as an outlier. So, now step on Wednesday, the minimum time hour that people were spending to sleep was 7 hours. And Thursday, you can see it. However, if you look at Friday and Saturday, what do you notice? You can see that the maximum time people slept on Friday was 11 hours, which is almost the same thing with 5 hours, 5 hours here, 6 hours here. And the median here is about 2 hours, here about 10 hours. Now, what you can see is that people sleep more on Saturday and Sunday. And immediately we come to people slept more on Friday. When people start preparing for work again, you can see that the distribution has come down to be like every other day. So, and this is important because assuming you have your own shop and you are making sales, and you just look at, okay, the last 1 year, Let me even see how our sales goes based on the days of the week. If you were able to generate something like this, you can have an idea that, oh, on Fridays, this how we make sales, on Saturdays, this how we make sales, and you won't just be able to recognize this pattern. You will be able to have a very good idea of what is going on, because the maximum value will actually tell you how much for the maximum amount you made on the Friday with the maximum income. So this is so important that it makes you to be able to make some, anybody can use Excel, anybody can use Google Sheets, but you being able to use some of these statistical concepts to make decision is going to make you to stand out a lot in anything you are doing. Even if you don't work as a data analyst, even if you are just working as a manager, a marketer, or anything you are doing, if you can do the total income, the total expenditure, all those ones does not show a lot. So it allows us to have a just overview of the data set, be able to compare the distribution across different days. So it helps us to get the outliers. You know, I show all this formula in the last session, this particular formula here. And in this area, I show us how by plotting our box plot, we can know and detect, like I said earlier, that outlier detection and recognition is very important when we are trying to make it to derive insights from our data sets, because outliers can cause a lot of shift in the data. And box plot helps us to detect outlier very fast. By the time you plot your box plot on a particular data set, by the time you start seeing things like this, things like this, things like this, then you can see this one here. You can know that something is wrong somewhere. Look at this instance here. The average minimum was 7 hours. And you can see this one, 1 hour. So there is a person that slept for 1 hour on that day. You can know that we can't make our decision based on this. But this is also important because this is telling us that some people are actually, even though people sleep well on Saturday, some people are also having issues sleeping on that same day, just able to sleep for 1 hour on a whole Saturday. Another question you can also ask is that, oh, this is not an error. For someone who wanted to write probably 10 or 11, but just wrote only one. You understand? And that is how we will be able to interact well with our data. And you cannot really perform advanced analysis without the 5 number summary in one way or the other. So we have been able to look at what 5 number summary is, its importance, and also how we can visualize it. So we are going to be starting our next course next week, and we are going to be starting with Microsoft Excel. The topics of the course are going to be on our YouTube channel. So I have put all the courses in a single playlist. So when you click on the playlist of the Microsoft Excel course on the YouTube, you are going to be having access to all of the topics in that playlist. in just one of the playlists. So you can scroll up and down and look at any of the topics that you want to go through. So it is now very easy to navigate. The content on the YouTube will be the material, while the webinars we just build for projects. So the fourth session next week, I will just do some basic introductions, and probably the second webinar and the third, I will be looking into some special functions in Excel, such as VLOOKUP, the conditional statements, aggregate functions, and so on and so forth. However, from the second week of the webinar, we are going to be doing projects and projects alone, so that we can actually see examples of how we can build solutions for our business and for our day-to-day activities using some of the concepts of data analysis and using Excel or Google Sheets as a tool. Like I said earlier, that the process of making data to solve problems or to provide solution is an art. However, we need a tool to actually craft those arts. And there are several forms of big tools outside, advanced tools. And when I say advanced, I mean advanced, from programming languages to cloud computing platforms. But over time, I have discovered that majority of the small businesses actually need simple tools such as a spreadsheet and probably a BI tools like Power BI. And with those tools, you can do a whole lot of things and solve a whole lot of problems. And that is why in the webinar from next course, we are going to be focusing on different projects, how we can do some basic automation on Excel, how we can build a dashboard on Excel, how we can even build a small Excel database, and so on and so forth. So I believe that this is a very good place to stop today and conclude this particular course. All of us who have been regular, whether in the live session or we have been regular in checking the recordings, I wish us all the best. And from next week, I will be informing us how we are going to be writing our exam for this particular course. And I'm very happy that we have been able to go this far. And by the end of August, we should be able to have concluded our second course too, and see how we can move into the Power BI and the business intelligence tools. So until we meet in the next session, thank you very much. I'm happy to have us once again.